Hello everyone. In this video we're going to be looking at comparing and ordering fractions and decimals. So let's get right to it. So step one, when we're comparing some fractions, typically what I like to do is always put things in decimal form. It's easy to order things from least to greatest or greatest to least, or compare two numbers when it's in decimal form. That's just me personally, but we'll cover fractions as well. Okay, so step one in going from comparing fractions to put it in decimals is to divide the numerator by the denominator. Okay, so the numerator is the top number, the denominator is the bottom number. Step two, we compare the decimal answers that we get after we do this. For example, if we're asked to compare these two fractions, 4 over 5 to 3 over 7, what we're going to do is say 4 divided by 5. So you got on your calculator, you could push 4 divide sign 5 equals, and we're going to get 0.8. Okay. 3 over 7, we do the same thing. 3 divided by 7, numerator divided by denominator. We're going to get 0.428. Next, we can just compare the decimals. I'm sure this is just mostly review for most of you. So if we're going to compare two decimals, we can just line up the decimal points. Okay, use zeros to make an equal number of decimal places. Then we just look at the first number in the 10th place here, to the right of the decimal. This one's 8, this one's 4. We know this one is bigger than this one, right? So that's just the same slide, and so we just know that 0.8 is now bigger than 0.0428. Okay, so we'll throw in our greater sign here. Okay, and therefore that means that 4 over 5 would be greater than 3 over 7. Okay, so we could just throw that in there. And next slide. Okay, 6 over 7 compared to 4 over 9. So all we did was say 6 divided by 7 equals 0.857. 4 over 9 equals 0.444. So we know that this number is bigger than this number because 0.8 is bigger than 0.4. So we can throw the greater sign in there. Next slide. Same thing, guys. Again, 6 divided by 7, we get 0.857. 4 over 9, we get 0.444. So this one is going to be a greater than symbol. Okay. Next slide. Again, 5, 6 is going to be greater than 3 over 4. 0.83 is bigger than 0.75. All right. I'm just going to jump ahead now to comparing fractions. So in order to compare fractions to one another and leave them in fractions form, the denominators for each fraction, they got to be the same. Okay. In order to do that, we have to find the least common multiple and make some equivalent fractions. Once we get them in equivalent fractions, then it's super easy to compare them. Let's take a look. So we're given three fractions in this example: 3 over 4, 2 over 5, and 7 over 20. We are asked to compare them. Okay. We'll order them. Let's go least to greatest. So what we're going to do here first is write out all of our multiples of each of the denominators. Okay, so we'll take the denominators 4, 5, and 20. And we're going to list out all the multiples. Okay, so the multiples just means 4 times 1, 4 times 2, 4 times 3. You can easily read this from a multiplication chart. Okay, so 4 times 1 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 3 is 12, 16, 20, and so on. We just do this for 5, so we get 5, 10, 15, 20, and 20, we just go 20, 40, 60, 80. Okay, no need to go that high because we see that 20 is the lowest common of all these multiples. Okay, so the number that you see first that's common between two numbers or between three numbers, that's your lowest common multiple. Okay, now what we have to do here is multiply each of the denominators by a number that will get us to the lowest common multiple. Okay, and if we refer back to this, we can see that we used 4 times what number gives us 20? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 4 times 5 gives us 20. So what we did here, we multiplied this by 5 to get 20, and I'll just write it in here. Okay, so we multiplied the denominator by 5 to get 20. So whatever we do to the bottom, we must do to the top. So 3 times 5 as well, and that gives us 15. We do the same thing over here. 5 multiplied by what number gave us 20? Well, we know that we multiply by 4. So I multiply this by 4. It's 5 times 4 gives me 20, and multiply the numerator by 4. 2 times 4 gives me 8. And I do the same thing over here, except actually there's nothing to do over here because 20 times 1 gives me 20, 7 times 1 gives me 7. Now I just have to order these fractions from least to greatest. Okay, so whoops. They're all over 20, so the lowest number is just going to be the 7 over 20. The next biggest number will be 8 over 20, and the biggest number will be 15 over 20. So 7 over 20 will be the smallest, 2 over 5 in the middle, and 3/4 will be the largest of the numbers. All right. One more example here. If we look at ordering these fractions, we're going to see that the common multiple is 10 here. Okay. 2 times 5 gives us 10, so this is going to give us a 5 over 10 right here. And then 5 times 2 gives us 10, so our numerator here is going to be 4 times 2, which is 8. So we're going to be left with this, an 8 over 10 here, and a 5 over 10 here, and of course we'll just be left with a 6 over 10 here. Okay, so if we go from least to greatest, what we're going to see is basically this. So our least is going to be 5 over 10, which is the half. The greatest, or the middle one, 6 over 10, and the 4 over 5, which we know was 8 over 10, is going to be the biggest, 4 over 5. And that's it for this video, guys. Let me know if you need any extra help, and good luck on this week's quiz.